as we get ready to talk about the FBI tonight, I thought we should celebrate a horrible anniversary because I think it'll help explain what it means, why it frightens me so. You see, today, 105 years ago, on December 20th, 1917, the Cheka was formed. You've heard me call the FBI the Cheka 1,000 times. What was the Cheka? Well, let's do a little history. The communists, the Bolsheviks, fought a war in the Soviet Union, in Russia, as they fought a civil war to decide who would run the country. And the communists ended up winning that war. Well, that was good for the communists. Okay, we won, the country's ours. What was bad for the communists is frankly the same thing that's bad for communists now. Now, then, always, communism isn't popular. It's just not popular. It's not just that it doesn't work, and it's miserable, and in poverty, and kills a bunch of people. It's just not very popular. Yeah, there'll be some people who look at it and say, that sounds great, but you're never going to get anything close to a majority that would support something so evil and demonic. And the Bolsheviks quickly found out, oh my gosh, we won this civil war, but these Russian people aren't buying in. They didn't like the Tsar we overthrew, but man, they don't like us either. So the communists were faced with a choice. Hey, what do? Do we adjust our policies? Do we adjust what we want to do in order to placate the will of the people? Or do we simply kill a bunch of them? Do we simply go on a terror campaign of torture and murder to kill all of our enemies and scare anybody into silence? So I think you know, because you know the nature of communists, because you watch this show, I think you know the route they went. They decided to begin something called the Cheka, the secret police, the state police. Now, you've undoubtedly heard of things like Hitler's SS or the KGB or the Stasi in East Germany. You've heard of all these secret state police agencies. What you may not know is every single one of them, all of them are based off the Cheka. The Cheka is where it began. So what did they do in the Cheka? Well, I don't know. They divided up the Soviet Union, this big place. They divided up into regions. And they would find anyone and everyone who was considered to be an enemy, and they would murder them. And they existed completely outside of the justice system. There needed to be no checking in. Hey, we'd like to murder this guy, pull his fingernails out. No. The Cheka had total power to kill, torture anyone they wanted. They only answered to Stalin. And the different regions, it's actually really, really sick and brutal, but the different regions had different methods of torture, and they actually prided themselves on competing with the other regions on how they tortured people, how they killed people. Some would put you in a wooden barrel and punch a bunch of nails through the side of the barrel, so I know you're already picturing this, and then they would turn the barrel over and roll you around for a while in it. Some, this was one of the more famous ones, some would take your hand, you're alive, they would put it in a pot of boiling water and boil the skin on your hand. Then your skin would be all boiled and all loose. And then they would carve the skin off of your hand when they pulled it out of there in one piece. They actually did this so often they could carve it out in one piece. And then they would walk around in front of you as you're in agonizing pain without skin on your hand anymore, wearing the skin of your hand as a glove, mocking you to your face. I could go on, but I think I'll stop there. They burned people alive, boiled people alive, secret police agencies that don't have to worry about the justice system really turn out to be very, very, very murderous, very evil, very dangerous things. And I thought it would be appropriate on this day to just give you a little brief history on the Cheka because you don't fully appreciate just how dangerous the situation is here in the United States of America with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And when you tell people that, when you tell people, man, we're right on the cusp. We're right on the cusp. People will undoubtedly roll their eyes. Oh, that's so over the top. Oh, Jesse, what are you talking about? We're not even close to that. You know, the Federal Bureau of Investigation not only spies on you, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has a gigantic number of people dedicated to coordinating with the various social media companies out there to make sure your views, any Republican views, any views about the election or COVID that aren't considered the norm, they have a plan to silence you. Not only did they have a plan to silence you, we now know they paid $3.4 million to Twitter between October of 2019 and February of 2021 for their time. Well, what's that mean? Paying them for their time? They had to pay Twitter for their time because the FBI had sent over so many names of right-wingers they wanted banned, right-wingers they wanted silenced, that Twitter had to use so much of its personnel time, the FBI ended up having to shell out millions of dollars to pay Twitter for doing the censoring the FBI wanted censored. They did the best they could to paint all this as fighting against Russia, right? It's always Russia, 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 Russia. It's a Russian attack, Russia intelligence, Russia's hacking the election. But we dug into it. Well, they dug into it, and we found there was very, very little Russia in there at all. It had nothing to do with Russia. It had everything to do with you. It had everything to do with who the FBI considers to be the enemy of the state.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, The Forgotten Genocide, the first episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.